I don't even know where that went. So we're moving some boards, getting ready for painting. Casey's helping me out. She's a trooper, hasn't been feeling well. I've been feeling slightly less than well. But we got to get all the boards here that are kind of stacked on top that we don't need out of the way. And underneath here are the last of our painted whiteboards. It's just dusty, so we got to get them out of here. And then that way all this overspray, it's a little windy today. You can see the leaves moving up there. But all the overspray is only going to go on boards where they're going to be blue anyway. So we run out of long boards.
We have a nice little patch of poison oak that's coming up here, which everything else I've been digging out, but this is a big enough patch that it's obviously a big root. So we're going to try and spray it out later.
So change of plans, we have help. So we're going to be alternating. We're going to try and get these battens done. Ben and Dad are going to work on that. We're going to move the scaffold up closer so we can work in here. I'm going to be doing batch painting in between. And we've been doing some cleaning and reorganizing. We moved all the extra white trim board up there. We definitely do have extra, but we will use most of it in ways I don't yet know, I'm sure. And we're going to be moving that first batch paint that we do down there up onto this section so that we can have that dry undisturbed, and I can immediately then turn around and do a second batch of paint down there.
Okay, and they're flat? My name's Paul. They're flat?
They're flat. And they're the last of the flat.
Woohoo!
I know.
First batch all painted up, and can start doing something else in between while I wait for them to dry. I'm going to give it probably 45 or an hour. It is windy, but it is not that sunny. Well, no, of course I say that, the heavens opened up, it's a little bit bright, but it's not that sunny. Looking sharp. Got a really good coat on. I finally feel like I figured it out. So, I mean, essentially what I'll do is I'll put on 3, and then I will start on the outside, and I'll spray the outside plus a couple inches in at a slight angle, and that gets this side over here some paint on it. Usually I'll kind of spritz these out, or when I get to the other end, I'll spritz that end out, and then I run down, I run back, I run down, and then on that next one, I angle it a little bit so that it hits this board here on that under edge, that side edge, and then the next run, I'll angle it back and hit this side edge. And I get over to here and I run out of ability to keep my arm going, and so I'll come around, get up in the middle, and work this board from the middle, which is harder because you have that in the way, so you have to go under. You have to feather out that section in the middle where you're painting over it twice versus one continuous long run. And if you don't feather it out, it ends up having, you know, like a streak of more solid paint. So then I did this side over here, push it over, and then got 3 boards individually on one at a time, and then ran them and pushed them over. And it does okay. You know, there's still some spots, like apparently I missed this edge here until you get about 4 feet in, but that's easy to touch up with that little Dabba tool. Are you all right?
Does it bloody look like I'm all right?
How you doing? Not quite, but very close. A little caulk and a little paint on this little strip board. those two windows surround. Paint lines in here, right around this window too, and caulk lines. And this side's pretty much done on this level. We still have up there on that half, but really good progress over here, and it's looking really nice. This is what it looks like when you have a inadequate plastic stand holding up a number of boards. If this had been wood, this wouldn't have happened, but I feel like making more. And it's really, you know, it's just so artistic. I can't be mad. I mean, look at that. You know, the elegance, the curvature of the board. I might put it in an art installation. I really, really like it. Paint cleanup done for the day, and pretty good progress. We got battens on, except for that last little bit on the side, and used our little dauber for touch-up. Casey's cleaned up that corner up high with the white paint, and we have one little board here and one little batten to run on this edge, and then we're most of the way down on this strip, and we got those boards there, one more set just like it over there, and then sadly our art installation, as art sometimes will have happen, it was not meant to last. It did fold into a regular shape. So with this gable end done on the lower part, minus that one board, and with, you know, no helpers today, I'm going to take the time to pre-cut all of the boards on the other side, and I'm just going to use this workspace here. One of the things we've been finding is that the sawdust is so fine off of the Smartside that the paint, like, it will settle into the paint crevasses in that textured cedar, and then you really have to work at it to get that to come out. I mean, probably just have to wash it is what you've got to do, but if I reduce the amount that the sawdust flies from the saw here over onto there, or if I don't work right on the platform down there, so I'm going to work right here, and that should reduce the amount of sawdust that gets on the storage spaces. So using that angle, I've cut off one sheet already at the right height, right by the window on that right side, and it's a 16 degrees on that cut, and it will be 16 degrees both ways. So with 16 degrees on the piece that was continuing that way, and it's 16 degrees on this piece here. That's just the way that works. So now I can take the shorter side, which will match up to the long side of the previous cut, and take that same measurement plus just a hair, 16th, because of the 3/16 spacing, and you know, I can measure it out lengthwise and make a straight cut right across at that height to get my next piece. In this particular case, we ended at 79 7/8, and that's what we got when we started with that 75 and change. You'll notice that I don't have my speed square right on 79 7/8. I actually back it off a 16th to account for being able to get that pencil lead in there. It is wide enough, you know, you have a standoff of that. And now that I've made that cut, again, I can continue with the next board by using the long side measure plus a hair to start the short side measure of the following board. All right, so we're switching to the other side, and obviously this roof goes down the opposite direction away from the center. So I have way too many times with these mirror type things where I've forgotten to change the angle. So we're definitely going to do that, and going to get that measured out, make sure it's on the right side of the board. So that would be this side instead of the other side. I just got to figure out which pocket. Okay, I have too many pockets. I have this pocket, I have this pocket, and I have this pocket right here. So previously I was measuring off of this side, and then I was running the angle uphill to this side. But now, because we're doing that cut in reverse, we're going the opposite way. So this needs to go this way, running uphill, and then that way when you transpose it to the wall, it's correct. And so you have to make sure your speed square is the right spot. Use your pivot point. Obviously, you'll know if it's right or wrong because I can't pivot over this side this way and have it go that way to create slope going away from me. Pivot point, and I give myself just a little space for the pencil line, same as everything else. About that much there. And then on this end, on the uphill side, it opens up and you want to hit it at your angle. In our case, it's 16 degrees. And that gives you the right line here. Before we take this away, I'm going to grab my next sheet's starting measure. We are at 80 and an eighth, so we're going to go to 80 and 3/16. I'm just going to double check that, make sure I was in the right spot. Yep. 80 and 3/16 for the next one. All right, so we're ready to get this cut. We have the angle on that end. We're measuring off of the tip. So we've got our length here, and just got to get, where is this thing? Why is it always the third pocket? Why is it the third out of 3? The hook on the long end so we can grab our total length here. We're sitting at 84 1/4. So I took a bunch of the boards up the stairs just to give some, actual tests to make sure everything was coming out, and so far so good. Made some measurements, made sure I had a good idea of exactly where everything was going to be for what's left, and then determined that I can't tell until I put the corner on for sure how much to make the last board on that one side. That's the only corner I haven't finished on the outside of the house. Having confirmed what we need, we're going to go ahead and make our 84-inch mark. 84 and 5/16. Give it a little boost from the 1/4 that it was. And, oh, are you kidding me? So this last cut's going to produce an angle and an angle on this waist piece. So I don't know whether I'll be able to use that anywhere or not. That's all right. I'm fine with that. It is going to be an easy cut though compared to the others because it's such a small amount that I have to cut off the end. Easy to hold as I work. And it's the right way for me to be able to dive the saw blade in, which it hasn't been on 1 or 2 of these cuts. Everything's all cut and prepped, so now it's lunchtime, and by the time lunchtime's over, hopefully I think we'll get some shade on that side of the house where I'm working. Not this side, but the far side. Sun's going to be baking this side, so we'll be able to work in the shade over there. And today's not so bad, but I'm going to be searching for places to work in the shade over the next little while, just because it's supposed to get to 105 degrees for a couple of days. So here we are upstairs, just outside of where we're going to be working in a little bit here, but all this material needs to be prepped. And essentially what we're doing is we're just getting every edge that's been cut painted and everything cleaned. this is not going to add much to my time of production on this job. It's still going to take me more or less the whole day to get this side done. And it's not a huge space, but when it's done, it'll be truly ready for Casey to come along and finish making it beautiful, you know? So now that we're all cleaned in here, we're just going to do some daubing. And got my bottle, and this one's still mostly full. So I just check my sides, make sure that they are sealed. This one's a little bit light on this side. You can probably see that now. So just gonna daub that real quick. This isn't a big deal. You know, that amount of paint missing on the sides, not a big deal. It's not why I'm doing this. So this is, you can see this is a brand new fresh cut end. So, you know, I want to make sure that that's sealed. And this side is probably not the side I'll put up, but whichever side is facing, you know, down needs to be sealed because it's visible from, you know, the roof, and you'd probably never see it below. But if you were looking really closely, I don't know, maybe you'd see something. It is a very different color, that tan of the wood versus our blue paint. That was a lot of dabbing, a lot of daubing, dabbing, daubing, daub, dab, whatever. So in this case, we've got this all the way over to the corner, and that corner piece is almost plumb. Let me show you this. So here's the piece next to it, and this is checked for being vertical and plumb properly. And then same spacing at the top, and then perfect same spacing over on the side, maybe just a touch less there. Down on the bottom, you can see it's widened out substantially, maybe an 1/8 and a 1/16 off there, but more like an 1/8 down there. And we're still that same spacing off the side. So I followed the side for this, and that will help make sure that caulk line looks good. And this is going to get covered by the batten, so it doesn't matter as much. And that's usually how I'll run it, is I'll run it to where, you know, you're not going to be able to tell that the grain is off vertical. Even at this distance, I can't tell it when it's only, you know, an 1/8 or 3/16. So this one here, these went in fine. And, you know, that's right up to the tip of that, which is where I was training for. But this, I forgot about this. So I cut a little bitty piece just for that. And the way that I've laid this out means that I have to run one where it's half cut all the way up. The good news is that this 440 is not greater in depth on top of the 3/8 than the 540. It's a 1 inch, it's a 3/8, that is essentially a 5/8 or 5/8 plus. So, you know, 3/4 minus, something like that. And typically they will flush up pretty nice, as you can see that the batten does on there. So I'm gonna basically just cut this, continue that caulk gap, and then run that piece, and it's just gonna be split plus the 3/16 gap, and then go that full vertical height from there all the way down. And then I just have a little bitty batten, and then this corner piece is ready for caulk and, you know, touch up paint. So not perfect, but you can kind of see what I'm saying. Once I get that caulk line in there, that blue, because it's just so off from the white, it will go away. And, you know, it should be fairly easy for Casey to get a good straight line on that as just a, you know, cover up paint. We've had that happen in a couple places, and there's one more. I mean, it's going to happen again over there with layout that way that I did it. So something that I could have done differently. I've already cut the sheets, and it's not bothering me, so I'm going to keep going. But what I could have done, let me show you. So on these end pieces here, that one ended up being cut. I could have run it off of that side over to here, and what it would have meant is that there would have been a batten like right in there, and then a narrow strip. I liked that even less. The other option is I could have centered it in here, and you know, that is another way I could do it. So we're gonna do a little gutter work here, and it's because I don't want to have to come back to this corner. We've got everything else in this area done except for a little bit of work right through here, some finish work, and we want to be able to move the scaffold today, and I don't want to have to come back. So we're going to be putting on our gutter downspouts. And a couple of things I wanted to share with you as far as just the order of operations, so that if you do this project, you'll be working it in the most logical way. And the first is, it's going to be easier if you kind of pre-assemble this down, at least the part that goes from here with the pipe over to here and what's in between. And the reason is because, you know, these cinch into the pipe, you know, and so they go around that piece, the other direction, of course, and then, you know, you have a compression, so you lose some of your space that you think you might have. So you want to get that measured, and you want to get that set up and installed. And oh, hello there. Looking for some food or something. And you want to get that installed and in the right order. So let's get into it. Okay, sorry about the wobble. So first thing I'm going to do, because these are kind of finicky, is I'm actually going to just make this hold itself, since I don't have a second set of hands. I started this ahead of time. These are self-piercing or self-tapping. I don't know why I call them self-piercing. I never heard that before. We're going to put one of these in up here to hold this in, so that we can then get a good measure to the wall and see how much we have to cut. You have two ends. You have an end that goes in, and you can see it's got these pushed in here at the corners, and the end that goes around. And you just want to think like the water would be. So you're going to be putting the end that goes around at the top, and then the end that goes in at the bottom. And then that way, if you always follow that, the water isn't potentially going to be able to flow out around. It's looking to me like if we did a little less than 19. I'm suspecting the best tool for this is probably a bandsaw, and I don't have one. So we're going to attempt a fresh blade on a skill saw, a reciprocating saw, pardon me. The best way to cut this is going to be vertical like this. And I have the blade set. I was going to cut it like this, but I don't think I can control it as easily as if it's set the normal direction. And I'm going to need to hold this pipe for sure. So let's give this a shot here. Could have been much worse. You know, this is tight, and I don't really think it's going to go anywhere. But I'm going to put in at least one screw into all these, and I want to make sure that I'm not putting it in where the water is primarily going to be going. You know, so I don't want to put one in through here. I want to put one in at the sides, and that way it's not going to catch anything that happens to get into that you know, drainage line that's not supposed to be there. Yeah, I think that's going to be just fine. Okay, so we're talking 82 inches. Oh, I forgot to take the 6 off. So that was 88 I just cut. Whoopsie. That looks great. And then I'm gonna need to go down and put one in right there. We're ready to get this piece installed here. So we still have a little ways left on this north facing wall. We did pretty much get the rest of it done down to this window where I'm at, which I'm gonna get caulked and will get painted soon. Probably next week. Tuesday would be my guess. And let me show you how we're looking down the way. I'm really excited. This whole side underneath, all the way out until you get to just shy of the corner, all the way over, this is all done. 100% painted, looks really nice. So Casey got that done today. We finished up on the boards and she got it all finished, caulked and painted. And so now, you know, we can, whenever we want to, when this is done at least, I should say, we can run this roof. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.